Hey everyone, welcome back. So I just wanted to add this extra lesson to talk a little bit more about nested statements because, as I said, it's a pretty important concept and it can get extremely confusing. So I just want to kind of give you a little bit more examples, and we want to just gonna go over it visually because I think that's really important. That's gonna help you to understand it better. So I went back to our folder example, and I just wanted to explain exactly how this whole thing works visually. So one of the things that you want to understand about nested if and else statements is essentially we used this folder example in the previous lesson, right, when we were talking about the basics of if and else statements. But one of the things you want to think about, the way you can think about it, is that a nested if and else statement is essentially these subfolders or subfolders inside the subfolders of this main folder essentially. So the main folder, you can imagine it it would be the main if and else statement, right? And then there is another if and else statement, these are all the content of it, and then there's another if and else statement in here. So it's just inside the previous if and else statement essentially. So that's how you can imagine it, right? So that's just very important to understand. Again, I'm gonna leave the link to download this updated version for yourself so you can just access it in the resources. Another thing I'd like to do here is go over our code using Thunny. So if you remember, we installed Thunny. If you haven't, make sure you do that. So it's gonna help us visualize the whole thing a little bit better. So if I paste it in the Thunny and run it, we're just gonna get the same here. We're just gonna say, it's gonna say what's your height, for example 160, what's your age, 21, you qualify for flight school. Very simple stuff. So if we debug it, I just want to kind of explain how it works. Let's step into it. So again, it starts with the print, and it's gonna look at the print code. It's gonna print the welcome to the flight school, and then just like that, we're done with that. And then we're gonna go to height. So we're gonna ask for user input, right? There you go. And it's gonna print this, as it becomes green means that it's printing that. And then we're gonna go to the next section, right? So I see we're just running this code here. Essentially, let's put this on, let's say 180. Here we go. All right, so here we go. We got the 180 replaced. Now let's step to the next one, which is the next entire content. See guys, when the compiler is looking at the code, it sees the entire thing, right? Because technically this if and else statement is only one statement. There's one if and there's one else. Everything else inside it is just a part of this whole thing, right? So let's go through it. So again, it checks for the height, right? So is the height, and again we entered 180, right? So it's just gonna say, hey, this is over 150. All right, so this next part applies. All right, perfect. So it's gonna say, hey, this is true. It is over 150, or greater than 150. So it's gonna say, okay, so it goes to the next argument, which is inside this if and else statement, right? This is the nested version, nested if and else. So it goes and runs this code. It says, hey, age equals input, integer input, essentially asking for another input, right? So it's gonna get the age and print that. Perfect. So here we go, we'll write that, and there you go. It's gonna ask for our age. I'm gonna say, for example, 25. So we're gonna enter, and it's gonna take the 25 that we just entered, and it's gonna continue. There you go. Then it's gonna run this, and it's gonna say if age smaller than 16 or less than 16. There you go. And then it's gonna say no, 25 is actually not smaller than or less than 16. So then it's gonna say, okay, this is a false statement, right? And it's going to print you, and it's going to print the else because it did not, this statement did not go through, right? Because it's smaller than 16. So it says you qualify for flight school. There you go. And then it's going to print that, and there you go. We got the print here, and that's it. So that should be the end of it. See guys, I just wanted to kind of demonstrate how this code runs essentially. As you see, it starts from the top and runs this, for example, checks for this first. And then if this goes through, it's gonna go for the next whatever we have here, which is gonna run the code right below it, right? And then when this happens, again, it's gonna check for everything else. So it's very important. Just want to kind of visualize this for you guys because I think it's really important to understand this. Let me know if you have any questions. Also, another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the code for this in the resources section as well, alongside this PDF, so you guys can actually play with this. I strongly recommend just like writing a code like this, like just get yourself used to writing nested if and else statements, because they're very, very important. Thank you so much, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. If not, I'll see you in the next lesson.